No, like right now, it should give you like a thing.
Yeah, it says continue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. 7 years later.
Is it really 7?
I don't know. I think it's more like 5 or 6. Good morning.
I think it's closer to that, but good morning. Thank you so much for having me again.
No problem. It is season 2 of the I'm Not a Robot podcast, December 12th, 2021, 10:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alma, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Fantastic.
We should tell everyone that we saw each other last night
at a party.
So I'm a little tired, doing this at 10:08 in the morning. So I did have to set an alarm after my 2 margaritas and some other stuff.
Sure.
So including delicious chocolates that
you
gifted me. So I'm getting a slow start, but I'm good. I'm good.
Very good.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. We left early.
Yeah.
So like at 9 o'clock. I came back actually at 11 o'clock to pick up my daughter. So she was like, oh, they're ready to go for another couple hours. And I'm like, what are they going to do? She's like, oh, they're going to go to a club or something. I'm like, in Montclair? Where are they going to go?
The Meat Locker? Were they at the Meat Locker?
I have no idea.
Teens I know about.
I do not know that place at all.
Okay. I don't either, but I know it exists.
Yes. So here we are at the podcast. It's interesting how our level of conversation has changed now that we've turned the microphones on, like the record button.
Yes, we're much more subdued and
yes. So you are doing your own podcast now.
Yes, it hasn't started yet, but we have started recording.
Okay.
And we're at that phase and we're very excited. And we've started an Instagram account for people to follow to sort of get people excited about the podcast.
Sure.
It's coming out imminently. So yeah, a lot of things have been the same since we last spoke, but some things have changed.
Yes, some things have changed. What's the Instagram link, just so we can
it is 2 moms, no fluff.
2 moms, no fluff.
And the number 2, not written out, 2.
Got it. And then when do you think the podcast will launch?
I think within a few weeks.
And you guys are doing video or audio only?
Both video and audio.
Very cool.
In this very room.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited. Would you like me to tell you what it's about?
Yes, please.
So I'm doing the podcast with a friend of mine, Iris Miller.
Right.
And she is a good friend of mine who lived in Bloomfield before moving to Michigan.
Oh, wow.
And yes, she moved during the pandemic.
Wow.
It was just going to be a trip to kind of get away. Excuse me. To get away for a month with her family to stay in a house that she owned, but rented out. And they drove out there and decided to just stay. And they never came back because it worked so well for their family because Iris has 2 children. Sure. One of whom has cerebral palsy and quadriplegia. So her daughter uses a wheelchair and she had much more space and the nature. They were able to go outside. They were in an apartment in Bloomfield, and they decided to just stay. Iris was and is a very close friend of mine. It was really a major loss when she left because we really got each other. I have a son who has a disability, and it was really great to have. You just disappeared, by the way. Do you know that?
Am I there? Probably because I'm not moving around. Hello.
I don't know. I have your, let's see.
I can still hear you. I can still see you. We're still recording.
I can hear you, but I don't see you.
You don't see me.
I don't see you. You vanished. But
not on the Zoom.
Oh, now I got you back.
Okay, got it.
For some reason, it just disappeared.
No worries.
So we decided to meet up because I have a son who goes to school in Chicago.
Okay.
In Evanston. And we decided to meet up. We were both very excited because we hadn't seen each other since right before the pandemic because she moved away. And we decided, let's both meet up in Chicago before I have to go see my son for Parents Weekend. So we spent 3 glorious days together in a Chicago hotel.
When was this again?
This was in November.
Of
like last month.
Oh, okay. All right.
This was in November. And
Got it.
we decided to, spend that whole time eating because we love food. So we were
Okay.
eating and
Yep.
talking and
Right.
catching up the whole time we were there.
Sure.
Middle of our trip, Ira said we really should do a podcast together about parenting kids with disabilities.
Yeah. Yep.
And it came at a time where I was just starting to think about possibly going back to work in a more of a traditional sense, because I have been working in many ways
Right.
since I've had kids. I have my own business, but I'm
Yep.
extremely flexible. But I first started thinking, I've been involved with so many things in the last number of years, like, dealing with refugees, and I speak Spanish. So dealing with undocumented immigrants, I do a lot of volunteer work.
Right.
So I was thinking more along those lines. And when she brought this up to me, I was like, you know what? This is what I have the most experience in, and this is what people need. I know firsthand how much people need information and to
Yeah.
feel like they're not alone and they're a
Mm-hmm.
part of the community and things are going to be okay.
Right.
So, and the thought of doing it with my close friend who I love hanging out with, who moved away, and that we'll
Mm-hmm.
get to hang out on a Zoom call and
Right.
talk all the time, I was like, I'm in. So we spent the last day of our 3 days together coming up with, off the top of our head, 50 topics.
Right.
Literally
Wow.
50
Oh,
topics.
wow. So you brainstormed before the show.
Oh
That's
yeah,
great.
50 topics we came up
Wow.
with before
Wow.
even talking about recording.
Right.
And then as soon as we both got back to our respective homes, we started in. We started figuring. We're both not technical at all, but we both have been looking into things. My son is going to help us with some of the tech stuff. I'm hoping on talking to you a little bit about how you've done this.
Okay.
Started recording. We got our fancy microphones. We are recording, and we started the Instagram account. And we are both very, I don't want to say type A. I am not type A in many ways, but we are very serious. When we put our minds to something, we do
Right.
it.
You're gonna make it happen.
We make it happen, and both of us, and we're moving forward, and we take this
Great.
subject very seriously
Oh, yeah.
about educating people and providing support. And I've been doing that in myriad ways through the years since my
Mhm.
son with a disability was born. He has Prader-Willi syndrome, and now it's time to really take it to another level. So we're excited, and
That's great.
yeah, we're just going to keep recording and get this stuff out there within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So the first episode is done. It just needs to be.
Oh yeah, we have 5 episodes done
Oh,
already.
wow. Wow. That's
No, I'm
great.
telling you, we're serious ladies. We
So
are.
what are
we
you,
mean
are you doing a Zoom recording or YouTube, or how are you doing it?
We're doing it on Zoom. We've
Got it.
recorded them on Zoom
Mm-hmm.
and audio, and we are going to put them up, I believe, on YouTube, and
Okay.
then find a podcast platform
Cool.
and that's where you're going to come in
Uh-huh.
to help me, and we're going to get this rolling, and then hopefully,
Awesome.
we're going to move forward and try to have, other things that we do, like, different courses on different things that are more specific, and
Right.
the traditional podcast, self-help kind of thing where we get sponsors, hopefully, that are related to what we're doing, products
Right.
related to disability,
Yep.
because there's some wonderful products out there. And I would imagine that a lot of these companies are going to want to be involved with us because our podcast is already awesome. It's not even
Right.
going to be awesome.
Right.
It's amazing. Like we listen to them, we're like, oh my God, even my kids, my teenagers, who like nothing that I do and never want to say a nice word about anything that we do, are like, all of our kids are like, this is really good. It's good. And I was like, wow, this must be really freaking good if these kids are saying it. So it's just real. It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
In a
Okay.
respectful way, of course, to our kids, but
Cool.
it's really mostly about ableism and how
Okay.
society is not ready for our kids, and the support that we need. So it's even if you don't have a child with a disability, this is important for everybody to listen to know what to do to support your friends and family who have disabilities. And
Right.
believe me, there's a very high percentage of people.
Yeah.
Everybody's family has friends and family who have disabilities or are
Right.
going to have a disability.
Right.
So we're for everyone, the voyeurs, the people who experience these situations themselves. And we love each other. And Iris and I. So we have a really great rapport, which is really nice. So we're
Where did
excited.
you guys meet?
We met through Iris's sister, who is a I met her years ago. She provided delicious macrobiotic food at a party, and I
Okay.
interviewed her for my blog.
Mm-hmm.
And then she told me that she started a business, a pelvic floor, helping women repair their pelvic floor after
Okay.
childbirth.
I
And I
see.
and I started having some issues with my pelvic floor when I was doing CrossFit. So I started having
Okay.
sessions with her, and she happened to mention that her sister just moved to Bloomfield
Right.
and actually has a child with a disability. And she just moved here. So I said, oh my gosh, I'd love to meet her. My son has a disability, as you know. And we met. And the first day we met, we were like, oh my God,
Right.
total good spirits. And we've been friends ever since. And our families became friends because my kids became her friends with her kids. And she lives so close by, just minutes away. And we
Mm-hmm.
were there all the time, and just very fast friends, have a lot in common. Our personalities just really gel. And yeah, that's the story.
Awesome. So I'm sorry, when do you think it's going to launch? Is it a
Um,
set date or?
we don't have a set date, but we're hoping before the new year. We're really hoping
Oh,
before the new year.
soon, very soon
Oh
then.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, you
telling
have
you,
like
we mean
deadline.
business, Ivan.
Okay.
Like
All right.
we are
All right.
serious.
Well,
We're
I
moving
respect that
along.
because my level of seriousness is not to that point.
Yeah, but we're
And
making
so
it a priority. We're making it a
what?
priority.
Yes, yes.
You
So
know.
so I had recorded probably 6 or 7 of my podcasts, put them up online, and the way that I did that at the time was I used a feature. It's a site called SoundCloud,
Mm-hmm.
which you probably heard of, and I can't remember if they were affiliated with iTunes or if there was like I was all about free, like whatever is free, I am
Yes.
into. And Bandcamp, you could do stuff on Bandcamp too, like
Okay.
you could post audio there. But I think
Okay.
with SoundCloud, you could post it, and then iTunes would let you link to it.
Okay.
Um,
So is this
so
Class A information? Like,
I'm sorry, what?
should I not be listening to you about with this information right now?
This is old
Like
information
old
I'm giving you.
news. Okay, so I'm gonna
However,
pretend it doesn't exist. Okay.
however, I sent you a link that one of the other people that I interviewed, his name is Francesco Palladino.
Oh, I know who he is.
Oh,
He's the comic.
yes,
Yes,
he has a podcast. I'm sorry.
oh, we're Facebook and Instagram friends.
Right. So he has a podcast, and I emailed you the link to. I think I sent it. He has his own way of sort of it's a one-stop spot where you can sign up and it'll aggregate your
Is
thing.
it
And
is it
I think there's.
Kaboshi or something?
I'm sorry, what?
Does it sound like Kaboshi or ka something? Because we weren't ready for that because it costs
Did it?
money, a lot of money, and we're not
Right.
making any money yet. So we
Yeah, yeah,
wanted to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm all about free.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that might be what
you
we
think
looked at.
that's what he uses?
I don't know, but that sounds like what we were looking into, and then it cost money, and we were like, let's hold
Um,
off.
this was called Anchor.
Oh, okay, so that's
Anchor
different.
by Spotify.
Okay.
So I can send you the link right now. I thought I sent it to you last
Yeah.
night. Maybe I didn't.
Oh,
It's
I don't. I was too high
anchor.fm.
on chocolate. I was too high on all the
Oh,
chocolate.
right, you're too high on the chocolate from New Paltz. I'm sorry. What's the name of the store?
Lagustas.
In New Paltz. If you're ever in New Paltz, please
Oh,
stop at this store. It is freaking amazing.
and it's vegan
Yes,
chocolate.
it's all vegan. And have you gone to their sister restaurant?
No. It was closed when I went there.
Oh no.
But I want to go. But now
It's
my niece
called
to go to New Paltz is graduated, so I don't have as much of a reason to go
oh
there. Maybe
right.
I'll make a trip for fun.
Yeah,
For
it's Alexa and one of her friends went up there yesterday, and they had the vegan mac and cheese is really enough
yeah.
of a reason to go. I
Are you
mean,
guys vegan? Do you eat
no,
meat?
but our daughter is lactose free,
Oh, okay.
so she can't have milk or eggs. So
Right.
I'm gonna send you this
Thank you
podcast
so much.
link here, and I apologize. I keep looking away from the screen because I got 2 monitors going on.
Oh, and I just realized that the name on I have to rename what I've
All
got
right.
going because it keeps saying it's my son. I don't know why. See, these
Sure.
are the podcast things I have to remember, because this is happening in our podcast as well on the Zoom, that my son's name keeps coming up. I don't know why.
So that once I get this, like this will be the Alma Schneider show will be the podcast that I'm doing for season 2. And I think I will probably do it through here because it looks like it is pretty inclusive.
Through Anchor?
I'm sorry?
Through what? Through Anchor?
Anchor.
Wow. And it's free?
It says free, but I haven't really honestly haven't dug into the site, but it's
Okay.
associated with Spotify. So
Okay, great.
I'm sure there is some
If we have
legitimacy there.
Spotify, maybe that's gonna help us. I don't know. All right, we'll
Maybe,
look into it.
maybe.
I'll put my
But
son in charge of that.
but I
Having my
heard you
son,
got your booster shot.
I did get my booster shot.
Yes.
Yes, I am
And
very happy about that.
right.
I did not feel well after I got it.
What? Oh,
So
hold on. Let's back up. Let's back up all the way back
okay.
to November 2019, December. When did you first hear about COVID? Right? As long it was
Yeah, I don't
like a
know.
million years ago.
It was a million years ago. I didn't pay attention to it
Right.
because like all the other things, it's like, oh, I'm not going to worry about this. They're talking about it far off. And, when they
Mhm.
talked about bird flu, it wasn't
Right.
that, you know. But what I do remember is that my daughter, who is now graduating college, was a sophomore
Hmm.
at American University, and it was her spring break. And I said, let's go. She really wanted to go somewhere, and I have always wanted to go to Nashville.
Hmm.
So I we made it into a little trip. I have 4 kids, and
Hold on.
so
Hold on. Wait. Nashville on spring break.
yeah,
Okay. Why?
yes,
Why Nashville?
because I've always wanted to go. And
Okay.
I'm embarrassed to say it, but I heard that they had really amazing thrift shops for cowboy boots. And
Okay.
I'm really,
Okay.
and of course I'm into music,
Right.
but I'm into cowboy boots and music.
Okay.
And not just cowboy boots, like all kinds of boots. But I will not tell you how many pairs of boots I have because it's embarrassing. But most of them are secondhand, so I don't spend a lot of money on them. But I do love my boots. So and I've always wanted to go. Like people just talk about what an amazing city it is. And my son, Levi, was interested potentially in Vanderbilt, and he was a
Okay.
junior, I think, in college. I mean, in high school. So I said, let's go to Nashville. Levi can have a tour of Vanderbilt. He'll just stay
Hmm.
for a couple of days and then bolt back to New Jersey to go back to school because he couldn't miss a lot of school because it was, he's in high school. But
Right.
my daughter was on her spring break. So we decided to set it up for the second week in March.
March 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
right
you
before
hadn't heard about COVID before then.
I had heard, yeah, I had heard about it, but it wasn't that, you know, it wasn't it was more of a distant thing. Like
Hmm.
this is happening in China. We're
Right.
seeing some cases. So it really wasn't on our radar. As the date approached for
Hmm.
our trip to Nashville, it started getting more and more prevalent in the news. And we started getting nervous, but we were like, you know what? Everybody says like, go, wear your mask. Like not, no, back then you didn't even wear masks. You were using Purell. Like everybody was just
Mm.
talking about washing your hands a lot. Don't put
Hmm.
your hands in your mouth. Don't touch your nose. So we decided we went to Nashville. Some people were like, oh, you're gonna do it. But most people were like, I think it's okay. We
Right.
were a little nervous, but we were hyper vigilant about
Hmm.
washing our hands and
Right.
taking, and using Purell constantly. We had a fantastic time. We ate lots of hot chicken, which is the
Right.
thing there.
In March, what was it like the 1st of March, middle of March, end of March?
And March 6th, I believe.
Oh
And
wow.
the shutdown was March 13th. So we got
Yeah.
home the morning or the afternoon of March 13th, and that was the day that
Right.
everything shut down. So we just made it.
What
Really
was
just
what was your thinking like once like a lockdown was an official thing? I
we were
mean,
like, holy shit. Can I curse? Oh, I forgot.
yeah, I
While
mean, this is going to be for adults, I guess. It's going to have the whatever.
um before we went, um we uh wait, what was the question? You just
Oh,
asked
okay.
me.
So hold on. So you came back from spring break, lockdown has happened.
Oh yeah, I'm
What?
sorry. While we were in Nashville, like the second or third day we were in Nashville,
Mhm.
my daughter's school, even though she was on spring break, contacted us and contacted her and said,
Yep.
school is closed for the rest of the semester. So we
Okay.
got kind of freaked out because she was home, she was here for spring break.
Yep. She hadn't like packed her stuff up or anything.
No,
Oh, wow.
everything was at school, and we got
Hmm.
this email like, no more school. So secretly, I was kind of psyched because I
Hmm.
love my daughter, and I was
Sure.
like, "Oh, she's going to be home now." Um, but it was kind of shocking. It was like, "Oh my God, this is like a serious thing. Like they're closing her school. They're closing." And then one by one, she was talking to all of her friends, and all of their colleges were being shut down. So we still enjoyed the rest of our time
Right.
in Nashville. I bought 3 pairs of boots. We ate lots of incredibly delicious food. We went
Right.
to singer-songwriters. We had a fantastic time. My son did have his tour at Vanderbilt, and I was really hoping that he wanted to go there because I wanted to be able to visit Nashville, visit my son in Nashville. He ended up, not being as interested, so he didn't apply. But we had a great time, and then we came home and everything was shut down, and the world as we know it changed, the day
Right.
we got back.
So, so all of your kids were home with you guys during the lockdown. Is that correct?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
And
So yeah,
so did you guys experience like the hoarding that came or the
a little bit. And
right.
it's funny, but a few weeks before we went to Nashville, my husband purchased a ton of Purell.
Just
And
randomly or
no,
okay.
because he, works in finance, and so he had sort of had his finger on the pulse of what was going on a little bit more
Right.
than, and he was like, better safe than sorry. He didn't hoard, but he bought a lot of Purell and a lot of um like fever medication, like I don't know, whatever that is, like
Probably add Tylenol, I think was the big.
Tylenol, I guess, but they were like liquid cough thing. I don't remember.
Okay.
But things for fevers and colds.
Hmm.
Um, and I was, and I am, we're very different in that way. Like I'm always like a roll your eyes kind of like we
Hmm.
never had any medicine growing up
Okay.
besides aspirin if we had a fever. That was it.
Sure.
My mother never bought cold medicine. We were allowed to have vitamin C
Hmm.
and aspirin if we had a fever. That was it. We had
Right.
like we didn't even know that these things like really existed, or that like why would somebody use that, or those that's what rich people do. Like we just
Right.
didn't have that in our world.
Sure.
So I kind of grew up in that way. And um yeah, when I discovered Alka-Seltzer cold plus medicine nighttime when I was an adult, I was like, how did we not have this? Because it's
Right.
God's gift to the earth when you're sick. So as an adult, I did use that, but when I was turned on to it,
Hmm.
but he bought all this stuff. And I
Hmm.
was like, seriously, like, and he was like,
Right.
better safe than sorry. And
Right.
no, we didn't even end up needing all that stuff, but he
Right.
did that, and he did buy a bunch of canned goods, so which we didn't use and ended up donating anyway. But yes, there was some concern with that. We did buy a bunch of food, but very quickly, all these order online things and all
Hmm.
these friends were sharing
Right.
information on great, local organizations that were providing food that you could pick up in a safe manner. So we really took advantage of that kind of stuff. I was actually on a CNBC news documentary for like 2 seconds. Somebody interviewed me because I'm in the food world, about my practices, or ordering food during COVID, and if
Right.
from supermarkets, and if I planned on continuing those shopping behaviors after the pandemic, which I didn't plan on doing because I actually like shopping. I
Right.
like going to the store and seeing what's there because that's part of my whole cooking thing. I enjoy, shopping is a part of that, seeing what's
Yeah.
there, seeing what's on sale, and physically
Right.
seeing it. But yeah, so we did function that way. We did a lot of cooking. I got very frustrated because there was a hell of a lot of cleanup that I
A lot of
needed.
dishes. Yeah. A lot of dishes.
But there's six of
Yeah.
us.
That's a restaurant you're running over there.
Yeah. So I was getting very frustrated with the lack of help, and so
Yeah.
I put the kibosh on that, and
Yep.
I don't know how well my kibosh went because I still seem to always be doing the dishes. But
Right.
that was very hard for me during the real lockdown. Like the
Right.
a number of dishes, and food, just people not putting the food away, and it was hard. And but the hardest thing having to do with food was when you were supposed to wash all your produce,
Right.
not just the produce, everything. And
Yep.
I kid you not, one day I had ordered produce from different places,
Mm-hmm.
and I meant for them to be delivered in a staggered fashion so that we always had produce because they were
Yep.
coming like once every 2 weeks. So I tried to stagger it, but because there was a delay with a lot of these companies, I one day received produce from 3 different places where I had ordered. So we had unbelievable amounts of fruits and vegetables. And I kid you not, I swear I'm not exaggerating. I spent 7 hours in the kitchen washing fruits and vegetables and then prepping them and putting them in the
Right.
fridge for later use. 7 hours.
Wow.
And then we found out that you didn't need to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to remember when they stopped when the scientists or the news was like, oh yeah, well, you don't need to do that so much anymore. Because I
that was
remember
after
like
we
in the
did.
garage wiping down everything with like a disinfectant wipe or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the boxes and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Pain.
so was there a behavior that you found that sort of like saved your sanity during COVID or
Yes,
okay,
indeed. So a beautiful thing was that I had a very serious yoga practice when I was 14 years old.
okay,
And after high school, I really didn't do yoga anymore. It was my
mm,
salvation in high school.
right,
And I've taken yoga classes here and there throughout the years, but really not I didn't have a regular
mm.
yoga practice.
Did you and Alexa talk about hot yoga last night at all or not?
No.
All right, put that in the bookmark for next time.
Okay. Um I did do hot yoga once, and
Yeah, I was not a fan.
I loved it until I almost passed out because I would but I literally was having a panic attack during it,
Right.
and it was really that I was dehydrated, and
Mm,
I was shaking, and they wouldn't let me leave the room.
that's
They said,
weird.
Just sit down and just breathe through it," and it was causing me to have a panic attack. But I did love it until that point. I loved that sweating profusely and all that.
Right, right, right.
But in terms of yoga during COVID, I reconnected with a friend of mine from high school who's a really good yogi. Her name is Kathleen Kraft, and
Mm-hmm.
I know her from high school, and we've been in touch, a little bit through Facebook. And like 10 years ago, she came to visit me in New Jersey because she lived in New Jersey. So we've kept in touch a little bit. But I saw on Facebook that she started providing these online yoga classes. So throughout the entire lockdown, I did yoga with her once or twice a week, and
Mm-hmm.
I also did yoga. She started a class online, which she's still doing Zoom yoga, and then I also did a class with my friend Jackie Rudderman, who has an amazing yoga practice in Montclair,
Mm-hmm.
and she started this incredible class on Wednesdays at lunchtime, and I did that throughout the entire pandemic. And in addition to that, I did, so when I was a yogi at 14, I had this incredible guru. She's still I consider her a guru. Her name is Mary Riley Nichols, or Mary Nichols Riley. I forget which one goes first. Mary Nichols Riley, I think. And she is a very accomplished advanced yogi, and she does meditation as well, and she works through different organizations in town in New York City. And I reconnected with her after 40 years, almost 40 years.
Wow.
She was like a hugely important person in my life, when I was younger. And she even spoke at my mother's funeral because I met her because she worked with my mother, and she also taught yoga back then in the 80s. And I reconnected with her and started doing meditation with her on Zoom through the organizations through
Okay.
which work. So I got back into my very spiritual Zen
Wow.
world during COVID. I
Right.
got back into the yoga practice and the
Right.
meditation, and that was not only great for reconnecting with people from my past, which was really beautiful, but
Hmm.
also it provided a real sense of calmness and something just for me when I had this very chaotic household.
Right. Right. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it
So,
was great.
so I guess fast forward a little bit. You got your booster shot. Fast forward a lot, actually.
Oh
You
my
got your
gosh.
booster shot last week, 2 weeks ago. When did you get it?
I just got it. I think Wednesday, just a couple days ago.
And then your initial shots were Pfizer, Moderna. What did you get?
My initial shots were Pfizer, and
Mhm.
then
Did you have a reaction?
the second time I did, I had,
Hmm.
mild fever and aches the next day,
Got it.
but not, then it stopped. And
Yep.
then it was suggested to me by the person at the booster when I
Hmm.
got my booster in Montclair to get the Moderna to
Yep.
just cross boost,
Cross.
whatever.
Yes. Sure.
And so I did that. I don't, he told me to do it, so I did it. And I did not feel well. Same, I had the same, it was exactly the same as with the second shot. It was
Okay.
it did seem to last a little bit longer with the booster.
Okay.
But I'm very relieved that I got it. I'm done. And I'm really happy that they've now made it okay for the teens to get it, the
Yeah,
booster.
absolutely. Yeah, and the
So,
little ones too.
yeah. So we're going to do that this week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, did you get your flu shot as well, or are you a flu shot person?
Yes, I am a flu shot person, when I remember. So,
Right. Yeah, I still have to do that. So they said when I got my booster, they're like, "Oh, we can give you a flu shot too." I'm like, I
I don't
don't
know
know,
for that
guys."
because I do get a little achy when I get the flu shot. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to hold off for just a little while with that.
Right. So, switching gears because I'm jumping all around. Did you
Okay.
watch the Beatles thing yet?
I've watched part of it.
What do you think?
Um,
Because I know you
I
had some trepidation about the.
I only I only had trepidation because a friend of mine said it's really slow moving. But it is fascinating.
Oh yeah,
It's really you really feel like you're just hanging out with the frickin' Beatles. Like
yeah, right.
it's pretty cool. Um, I do find it very interesting, and I haven't read the article, but I heard there was a New York Times article about how bizarre, but how cool it was that Yoko Ono was just kind of sitting there hanging out, crocheting or whatever she was doing, knitting and reading the newspaper, sitting there while they were writing songs. I don't know what that was all about because I haven't read the article yet, but it was interesting.
The article
Um,
just came out, or
yeah, the other day.
okay.
Apparently, there have been a number of articles by the New York Times about they just keep writing articles about
Oh,
the
okay. I think I tried not to read the articles because I didn't want any spoilers
yeah,
for the
yeah,
thing.
that's smart. Um, I've watched part of it, but what I really watched 2 episodes of was the new Sex and the City. That just
Ah, it's a little off my radar.
yeah,
Although I
okay.
do remember watching it when it came out.
Yes,
Um,
it's interesting to watch now. They're a lot older,
okay.
like we are, and, it's fun. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, they're trying to be woke, they're trying it's very
Okay.
but, in a funny it's like a little bit of an over the top way, but, they're making their point, like, of what we're all like now, we're trying to trying to still be these cool New Yorkers who, have gotten older and how we have to catch up with
Sure. And
how
they
the
was
coolness
it
that we used to have.
was it filmed during COVID, or can you tell?
They talk about it. I mean, COVID's still going on, but
Well,
they're
yeah.
wearing masks. They're not wearing masks, but they're talking about it as though it's post pandemic.
Oh, wow.
They're saying like, during lockdown, we couldn't do this. Like they're
Mm,
referring to the pandemic,
sure.
but
I-
nobody's wearing masks. So it's
Interesting.
like they're past it, sort
Right,
of.
right, right. So yeah, I'm just jumping all over the board here. Did you guys upgrade your internet or do anything like technology wise during the lockdown, or
I don't
I don't
think so.
know,
Um,
because I know a lot some people were like, oh, now that the kids are home, the internet's getting clogged up, or
I don't
I have to
think
have
we did.
I guess when did you when did you discover Zoom, or when was it? I
Oh,
remember,
Zoom. Yeah,
right?
I don't think I'd ever used Zoom.
Me neither.
Oh, when I really started using Zoom? So at the beginning of the pandemic, and I feel guilty because I need to reach out to this little girl. Um, I have a friend whose mother runs, her name is Gretchen Buckenholtz, and she runs an organization called the Association to Benefit Children in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very well-known humanitarian in New York City. And I am
Right.
friends with her son we went to high school together.
Right.
And he told me that that her organization was pairing people with kids that go through their program to read whose families might be overwhelmed because the kids are all home from school, reading bedtime stories to kids.
Like via Zoom.
Via Zoom.
That's cool.
Who might, their parents might be a little overwhelmed with the other kids, and to give them some one-on-one time. So
Right.
I started meeting with this girl, and we met all year. I would call her, I would do Zoom with her and read her. We read Wonder, the book Wonder.
What is this? Is this an organization, or what is this?
The Association to Benefit Children. So if anybody still, the kids are back in school now, so it was
Right.
really for when school was out in New York City. This little girl was in the Bronx,
Mm-hmm.
and I was initially going to be paired. I speak fluent Spanish, so I was supposed to be paired with someone who spoke Spanish. So the girl's family was Spanish speaking, but the little girl spoke fluent English. So I ended up,
Okay.
I asked her, do you want me to read you in Spanish or English? And she said English. So I would deal with her mom in Spanish, but with her, in English. But we read, we read Wonder, and then we watched the movie together via Zoom after,
Okay.
which was awesome. And oh my God, I'm spacing out. What
No,
else?
it's okay.
But we haven't been meeting, but we were in the middle of Anne from Green Gables.
Oh, wow.
Book, which she really loved. And she was just so sweet. She's so cute. And it was really fun because mid-pandemic, my son was in a study for anxiety, for this medication for like CBD or something.
Yep.
For anxiety for his people with his syndrome at Montefiore Hospital in the
Okay.
Bronx.
Right.
And the girl lived in the Bronx. So I asked her mom secretly, I was like, would it be okay if I visited? And she came outside because this was like mid-pandemic.
Yeah.
And she said yes. So I got to meet her in person.
Wow.
I found out that she was like 20 minutes away from the hospital.
Sure.
That's where we lived. So my son and I drove and we visited her, and she came outside, and somebody had donated tons of books to me.
Right.
Kids books, and I brought her in person tons of kids' books. So it was just
Wow.
so great to meet her in person. We had masks on, and it's just a really fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm tearing up a little bit. That's really like, I would love to have seen her face when she like saw you there.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, Ma.
So I guess on that same note, was there a moment of relief during the? I'm sorry, what?
So that was my first Zoom, like real Zoom experience.
When they first announced the vaccine, I remember a moment of like, thank God, like just like a sort of like I can breathe again. And then the Delta variant started, and it's like, well, maybe I can't breathe again, right? So it's just sort of like this. Yeah. Like there was like a longing for, things are going to go back to normal. And then everybody's like, no, this is the new normal. So
yes. But after I got the vaccine, I really did feel, even with the Delta variant, I have too many other things to worry about.
Oh, right.
So my brain doesn't
have
have enough, or I am in denial enough in a positive way to not focus on that. And I've never been like, I don't want to say it's you're either a hypochondriac or someone who doesn't worry about stuff. I am more of a person who kind of doesn't worry about health stuff. Some people, that's where their energies go, worrying about their health. I've never been that person. Right. I had cancer once. I had a very treatable cancer. I was terrified that I had cancer. I had thyroid cancer.
Okay. Did we talk about that on the first podcast?
No, I don't know. I
had part of my thyroid removed at one point. It was like benign, but this was like, gosh, this was probably 16 years ago.
And mine was 15 years ago.
Okay.
So
all right.
Well, my 15-and-a-half-year-old was 6 months. So
wow.
Yeah. But it's a totally treatable cancer. And except for a very small percentage of people, like what's his name? Who was the film guy who died of cancer? The film critic.
Roger Ebert. Yeah.
he had the same cancer that I did,
Oh,
and
wow.
he died. But very rarely do people die from this cancer. And so I found that out very early on, but it's still terrifying to know that you have cancer. But until that
Yeah.
point, I really never worried about my health ever. Like I don't know. Nobody in my family, I didn't grow up, I'm one of 7 kids.
Mhm.
Nobody was ever sick, like
Right.
really sick. And my parents weren't sick, but my parents did die young from cancer. But
Okay.
um, but my whole childhood, we didn't have people like around us who were sick or died. So it wasn't like a thing in my head. It wasn't something that I went to in my head.
Right.
Um, I didn't, ruminate over those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So, that benefited me. I was careful during the whole pandemic and all that. I
Right.
didn't lightly, but I didn't. A lot of people really ruminated over it and were really panicked in their everyday life,
Mhm.
and I wasn't.
Right.
But I did, I kept my family safe and we did all the
Right.
things that we needed to do. But
Right.
fortunately, I didn't have that extra anxiety that a lot of people did have.
Right. 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 Yeah, it was definitely a strange time. I feel like it's like a science fiction novel we're living in. Um, and I just remember being addicted to the news at one point, and just
Yeah,
like I'm reading
as
the like all the time, just like because there were so many new things happening.
yeah, that was
And
my husband.
and
We all
I'm
had the same things. Like my husband was like that during 9/11 also, and
okay.
I was like, I don't turn it off. Like we're doing what we need to do. I don't need to hear about it all day long. Like
Right.
that's too much.
Right.
Um, and it's funny, like we all have sort of our same personality, same behaviors, depending on whatever's going on. Like we are
Right.
still ourselves and the way we deal with the world,
Right.
um, when situations are thrown at us. So
Sure.
it's
I
important to.
keep thinking of in job interviews, they would say, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And
Mhm.
I don't think anybody would have said, oh, we're going to have, like, except for Bill Gates, of course, oh, we're going to be in a pandemic and it's going to be all messed up and everything. So, um,
Yeah, yeah, very unusual turn of events.
yes, very,
Yes,
yes, interesting times.
yes.
Um, I am trying to think of like, I'm just sort of like rambling a little bit here.
Love it. I love the stream of consciousness interview. It's great. How was your family during how did you fare with it?
We
I question to you, the
I
interview.
remember in we think we had it in March,
Oh, okay.
and we had like we had fevers for like a month.
You mean back when it first started?
March 2019 or 2020. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay.
So I remember like the lockdown had happened, and then like the day after the lockdown, all the kids were outside playing. Like
Mhm,
everybody was, and I'm like, this is like, should this be happening? But it was
mhm,
just like a vacation day for
right,
everybody. And then things started to get worse, and then we started to have fevers, and it was at that point they weren't letting people get tested. Like if you were sick, they were
oh,
like, if you're sick, you have to stay home. You can't come and get tested.
okay. I
And
don't.
so like it was a month before we could get like our fevers went down, and then we went tested. We tested negative. We didn't have antibodies as well, but it was definitely like a
You had.
like an intense flu. So we're like either we had the bad flu or we had it. So
Yeah, you probably did.
um,
And my sister, by the way, and her husband, I did get nervous at that one point because she got it and she was so sick, my
mhm,
sister, so sick and never sicker than she'd ever been. And then she got better after a long time. She
mhm,
had the no smelling, she couldn't
right.
smell anything. Did you have that?
No, 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 no. We
Oh,
had like Alexa had a really bad like cough, like it was like a seal, and like we were like ready to go to the hospital at one point.
okay. Well,
But
my
then they
sister
started
got
like telling people you should lie on your stomach so that the mucus strains.
right.
And that seemed to help a lot.
Oh, all right.
Um,
Well,
but
my
then it
sister
was
and her husband, sorry, they got tested later and they were negative with no
okay,
antibody. I was like, it wasn't, and they had no sense of smell.
right?
So it was like they had COVID, like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had
yeah,
COVID, but it said they didn't. So I didn't trust those tests, from that point on.
right.
Um, but yeah, a lot of people were in your boat during that time and they think they actually did have COVID. Who knows?
But I remember talking to my daughter, and we were talking about death and dying and stuff, and like, well, what do
Mhm.
you want? Do
Yeah.
you want to be cremated? Or it's
Oh
like we're
my
having this like I didn't. It's like I wasn't expecting this conversation for 30 years or whatever, but they're just
yeah.
like, no, mom wants this. I
Wow.
want this, and it's just like
Yeah.
matter of fact kind of
It's all
like
out
adult
there.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, scary, but also sort of comforting in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
Um,
made you take stock of your life,
yeah,
for a lot of people. And it changed, with all the, I was so, I self-conscious about saying it, but there were, in the beginning, and now a lot of people are admitting it, but there are so many silver linings to this time period,
right.
so much loss for people, and pain and anxiety, and so much, so many changes that are negative, but, you know, there were a lot of positives about family time, and about
Yeah,
seeing, reevaluating our lives and what we actually wanted to spend our lives doing, what's
right.
important to us, what's not. And even Zoom meetings, and how much how much
Right.
time we're all saving.
Yep.
I've gotten involved in a lot of things that I wouldn't have gotten involved in, because I don't have to leave the house, and I have more time in some areas. So it's,
Right.
it's just a shifting that maybe needed to happen in some ways, but sadly it came at a cost.
Yeah.
A lot of
Absolutely.
people.
Our dog, I think, saved our family from like.
Aw.
You guys have pets?
We have a dog, a
Okay.
beagle, who's
Yes.
not doing so well right now. So
Oh, sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of people got pets. A lot of people
Oh
got dogs
yeah,
during this time.
tons, tons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking of getting a second dog, but they're expensive. They're very expensive now too.
Yeah, especially if you're going away. Like, that's
Right.
costs us a fortune every time we go anywhere, or
Yep.
even at a dinner party. We have to put our dog somewhere because he's nuts. So we have to think about that as well. Like, every time
Sure.
we go to the boarding thing, even for a dinner party, so he'll jump on the table and eat everybody's food.
Right. Our dog is fond of chocolate, so
Oh,
yeah, not good.
oh,
Not good. Alma, I'm running out of ideas here. I
mm,
wanted to talk about COVID. We talked about COVID. Did you
right.
have a book you were working on or something, or is
I
that my
did have
imagination?
a book, and I was scared you were going to ask me.
Aha! I could
But now
see
that
it.
we're here,
He's gonna ask me about the book. I know it.
and well, this is the deal with the book.
Yes.
So
Take back the kitchen. Yes.
yes, I
Okay.
still have my book.
Yes.
I did have an agent. I don't know if I
Okay.
back then. I did get
Great.
an agent. The agent was shopping it. There
Cool.
was interest, a lot of,
Yeah.
polite declines
Right. Right.
from some publishers,
Okay.
some interest.
Yep.
Interest came right before COVID, and
Ah,
so everything shut down.
right.
So because I'm involved in so many other things right now, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I haven't even reached back out to the agent, because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah. Yeah.
back out, then I have to do work on the book. So I'm sort
Oh,
of
okay.
I'm
Right.
like
Right. I get it.
on this podcast right now. Um, but yes, it's still there. I
Mm-hmm.
still have my business. I did a lot of Zoom. Speaking of Zoom, I did a
Oh, yeah.
lot of Zoom. I still have my company, Take
Mm-hmm.
Back the Kid.
Yep.
I did a lot of workshops over Zoom, during the lockdown.
Was the kind of food you were teaching different then than it was before COVID, or?
Yes, I was doing, I did a lot of work for nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
I did workshops for Big Brothers Big Sisters to keep
Okay.
the matches with activities, because the big brothers and the little brothers, and the big sisters and the little sisters, they do activities together. So I was sort of the person, I was providing the activity on Zoom for them to still have an activity. So we would talk about food, but I had to, obviously I shifted gears, because normally I'm presenting the food and dealing with the food, but I just modified it and talked about different things to do during COVID, ways to shop during
Okay.
COVID, more home ec related stuff, but also fun things that you can do at home with a few ingredients. So, and I just positioned my camera on my laptop to
Right.
show them how to make like no bake cookies, and
Cool.
they could see that, and I would
Right.
tell them the ingredients to get. So I did that. And I did do individual sessions on Zoom with
Mm-hmm.
people. I didn't teach them how to cook part, but we did all the stuff talking about, um, uh, talking about their issues that were keeping them from being able to cook. Their
Right.
identifying their individual obstacles to cooking and how to address them. And yeah, there was a way to to work it. And I still contribute recipes to a bunch of newspapers in northern New Jersey.
Cool.
I wrote I was contributing to Yoga International, which is
Okay.
a very well-known yoga website. And we talked a lot about COVID cooking and
Mm-hmm.
comfort foods, and I contributed recipes and wrote articles for them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff around food and the pandemic.
Right.
Um, and I did some local stuff too with Montclair's. They had something called a Bounce Festival, and I presented Take Back the Kitchen
Got it.
tips and tricks and strategies and answering people's questions on food and how to deal with it during the pandemic and just in general. So
Right.
yeah, I've kept my, finger on the pulse of all that stuff, but I did have to shift, a lot of what I was
Right.
doing.
So the book is in a holding pattern.
The book is in a holding pattern, it's still
Got it.
there, and I
Got it.
spent so much time on it that it will eventually be
Sure.
out there, whether I do it myself,
Yeah.
self-publish,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
have someone else do it.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's good, it's in my back pocket, but a lot of work. I've done a lot of work with the disability community,
Hmm.
and which I was doing the last time you and I spoke, because I've been hosting a group for 11 years now.
Right. The Friday night,
And
the Friday morning.
Friday group, and we did Zoom throughout the lockdown, and we
Right.
just started meeting in person
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
Um, but because I really feel like it's important for the disability community, the families, to really be able to meet in person and have that nurturing and be together in
Yeah.
in person. Um, but that's something that we continued every Friday on Zoom, and it was it kept going, which was great.
Hmm.
Um, and there was something else I was going to say about the. Oh, I was asked to be on the town's disability committee.
Okay.
Um, the town's there's a people with disabilities committee that serves as a liaison to the town council.
Is it
To look,
related to the schools at all, or is it just part of
no,
the
no,
town?
it's
Okay.
just the town. It could,
Okay.
have have school things related, but it's really for the town, like accessibility and all things related to disability that go on in town, like businesses, hiring employers, all sorts of advocacy stuff. So that was nice. I've started being a part of that, and during COVID, I also have become a part of an organization called Montclair Mutual Aid, which has been really great, helping. It's just neighbors helping neighbors. There's no
Okay.
hierarchy of like charity. It's not supposed to be looked at as charity. It's really solidarity, not charity.
Got it.
So what's been really fun is that we have partnered Montclair Mutual Aid, Parents Who Rock, which is my nonprofit organization.
Oh, right. I was going to ask about Parents Who Rock, like what happened to them during COVID as well.
So Parents Who Rock, Tony's Kitchen, which is our
Hmm.
food,
Right. Yes.
pantry, food pantry, but providing meals for people in town who are
Hmm.
hungry. And Montclair Mutual Aid joined forces, and
Oh, so
we
they're all
just
together.
for COVID,
Oh, just
and
for COVID.
for these events. So we
Got it.
joined forces for these events where I feel like as I'm telling you all this, I've started doing way more things than I was doing before. I added things on. So we had an event once a month at
Hmm.
Glenville Park in Montclair, right next
Got
to
it.
Glenville Middle School.
Got it.
Outside, starting in January of 2021, every month we held an event where we gave away bags of free groceries.
Uh-huh.
Parents Who Rock performed so that it was
Hmm.
like an event, like a community event, as opposed to.
Okay.
So we didn't want to stigmatize people who were in need by everybody had
All
to bring
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
groceries. We turned it into like a fun party every month.
Okay.
So I would get the music or coordinated. So we'd have
Hmm.
bands for 2 hours.
Yep.
We'd give away the groceries, and we would give away. It's called aisle 7. Is that the aisle? I think it's called aisle 7, which is basically giving away toiletries and menstrual products, which are
Okay.
really need for
Yeah.
people because they're extremely expensive. So free menstrual products, clothes, shoes, coats. So it was like a whole free festival once a month, and we did it every month, and it was great. We're not doing it in December, but we're going to pick up again in January. And it was just such a good feel-good event every month. The musicians got to play, people got to hear live music. We bundled up like crazy, and then we stripped down in the summer, when it was really hot.
Right.
And life went on, life went on. We also did, I was a part of some online music fundraisers for Tony's Kitchen, which was really fun performing. I performed with my son in an event like that, and that was really great. And there was one more thing that I was going to tell you about that was um with
Like a COVID kind of thing?
yeah,
COVID
COVID, a
times
COVID
or?
related thing that we did. Um Now I can't. Oh, there was something started during COVID called Navegadores, and I'm a part of that too. And we're actually having a party later today. So, for people who speak Spanish, there is a program now by the Montclair Fund for Educational Excellence, which is a private organization affiliated with the school system to provide extra services in the school district. And there, there, it was deemed to be a need, and it definitely is for families who only speak Spanish
Okay.
to have a buddy system with someone in the community who speaks Spanish but also speaks English to help them navigate the school system. So navegadores means navigate, the navigators. And there are all these families paired up now with people who speak Spanish and English to help them navigate the school system, to navigate all sorts of things in town so that they're not lost or left out. So I've joined that, and I have helped with a lot of. I'm sort of helping someone else with her family because they have they have really a lot of needs. So I'm helping her. She's doing the bulk of the work, but I'm trying to help where I can. But I've really helped in getting them clothes, collecting clothes and shoes, because these are people who and food who truly have come here with nothing, like
Right.
absolutely nothing. So, I collect things on, from Facebook and from Tony's Kitchen, and we distribute it to people who are in this program. And it's just a beautiful thing. Just it's so easy to help people. It can take so little, and it is such a huge impact. So all of these things became extra important during COVID. So these are some of the things that I have my fingers in, my hands in, in the ways that I can, and involving my kids. And I've also, through COVID, through Montclair Mutual Aid, I have been delivering groceries from Tony's Kitchen because they couldn't serve people the meals anymore
Right.
because
Right.
of COVID. There are a lot of volunteers, and if anybody wants to get involved with that, contact Tony's Kitchen to drive. We drive to people's homes and deliver groceries. That's something that Tony's Kitchen does now. They set up something outside where they give groceries, but for people who can't even make it to Tony's Kitchen because they don't have a car,
Right.
we volunteers, once a week since, COVID started, we drive to people's homes and bring them a bag of groceries once a week. And it's just a really nice way to be a part of your community. It doesn't take much. It's something you could do with your kids because they're just in the car. So they're
Right.
exposed to community involvement. It's just, there have been a lot of beautiful things that have come out of this COVID experience, helping our own community. So that's been really nice for me.
It sounds like you were very busy during COVID.
Yeah, busy in a manageable way.
Right. Right. Right.
Because a lot of things are on Zoom, honestly. I mean, so it sounds like a hell of a lot that I'm doing, but not having to drive places
Oh
and do
yeah.
things really makes a difference. It
Yeah. Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So meetings take up a lot of time when you have to travel there and get.
Right.
What's really been helpful for me is that I don't have to get the child care. I have a son with a disability, so somebody's got to be home with him, even though
Right.
he's 17.
Sure. Sure.
So it's allowed me to participate in a lot of things that are at home,
Right.
from the computer. So that's been really nice for me.
Right. Yeah. It's changed. Like I just started commuting again to Hoboken, and it's a little strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Takes a lot of
I
time.
don't mind because I'm on the train and I get to read, so
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But it's just like I can imagine. I'm looking out the window, I'm seeing all the cars going by, and like, we have relatives in the city, and they're at one point they were like, New York City is like it's dead. There's nobody here, and now it's like the traffic I hear is because
Yeah.
nobody wants to take public transportation. Everybody's in a car,
Yeah.
so I hear that's gotten crazy. But
Yeah.
um,
It has. I
I
myself.
wanted to do one more subject, and I think we're going to wrap it up. It's 7 years from now.
Oh, Lordy. All
Who
right.
knows, right? It's so hard to, like, before the pandemic, I would have been all right. The kids are in school, blah blah blah. Now it's like, I don't know. Anything could happen. Anything could
Yeah.
happen. Sometimes I feel like the scientists, like, we don't know why. Like, I watched the map on the New York Times of where COVID is, and
Yeah.
to watch it like grow and shrink as far as like where where the cases are, and it's I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
I don't, 7 years. Okay.
7 years, right?
Let's see. Well, I will have, hopefully, well, I, I guess I'll have no kids at home.
Right. Knock on wood.
Hoping- I'm
Right.
hoping that my son with a disability will be in a safe environment outside of my home.
Sure.
Outside of my
Are
home.
you going to stay in Montclair?
Good question. I have a little fantasy that my house, which is a Victorian with a lot of bedrooms,
Sure.
can be turned into a group home
Interesting.
where my son can live.
Right. Right.
I have my doubts that we can be zoned for that, but you never know.
Right. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
little
You never know.
fantasy I have.
Right.
I, but the next few years are going to be really. There's going to have to be a strong focus on my part and my husband's part on finding suitable housing and
Right.
services for my son, who will then be a full-blown adult and not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all the services that he gets as a child, as a
Right.
minor. So my life was going to be highly consumed with that, I know, throughout these next 7 years. I've always said, maybe we'll go back to the city, but I've
Yeah.
gotten to love Montclair so much. However,
Right.
so much of what makes Montclair great is all of our friends here. And I'm
Right.
talking to people who are saying that they're not going to be here. So I'm like, I don't know where we're going to be.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer that question.
Totally. I'm sorry. It was a little curveball. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No, it's a, it's a good question because these are all unknowns at this point. I have a lot of unknowns in my life in the next few years. And,
Mm.
one of the reasons is because, when you have a kid with a disability, you really have to follow what's going to be needed, for that person. And in terms of my work, I think that, I'm really gonna, this podcast, I'm very, I feel like this is my life's work. I mean, even though I wanted to do so many different things, I
Right.
still want to do the cooking thing because it's so important to me. I still want to continue
Yep.
with to rock and the music. I don't have any intention of ending either of those. But I think that I feel like the longer I'm in the world of disability, I feel like this is really my life's work because I know, and I'm feeling myself starting to tear up right now, but how it is so important and so meaningful for people to get the help that they need.
Yep.
As families, this is a very isolating, potentially extremely isolating life for people. And my mission in life, I'm a social worker, and I entered this field because I believe in the importance of community and for people to feel they're a member of community and they have people having their back and they can live a rich life if they have a supportive community. And my part, has, as the years have gone by, I really see my role in this world as, I can share my experience and um, to help people feel safe and supported emotionally and
Mm-hmm.
help them get supported practically in the world of disability, which can be extremely isolating and extremely painful, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I want to help people realize that it's not the end of your life when you have a family member with a disability, which is how I felt when I entered this world of disability.
Right.
And I just feel it is so important to help people on that journey. So I entered into this reluctantly, into as work, but I feel like this is in the next, in 7 years, I'm still going to be doing this, and I'm going to be doing it more, and I'm going to be doing it hopefully on a level where I'm reaching more people.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
I am happy that there are people like you in the world.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
And
uh,
I think on that note, I'm going to wrap up the podcast. But I
thank you.
appreciate your time. And we're gonna I have to reboot my website and get all the links up there.
Okay.
But
And
thank
you
you very
will be hearing from me because you're going to have to help me with my podcast.
no problem. And likewise. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna say good morning and good evening to the world. And then Stop the recording.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.